Thank you guys for everybody for joining us. We've got about 7 people on, so that's exciting. Here to listen to Bruce and Jennifer Hetzel. She's a doctor of audiology to give us some much needed information regarding tinnitus. So I've got a brief bio for both of them. So first, Jennifer Hetzel, as I said, she's doctor of audiology. She's got her doctorate degree. She is originally from the south suburbs of Chicago and came to Kansas City in 2002. She's been an audiologist for 28 years, primarily in the ENT setting. She has been with Hearing Health Associates since January of 2020. She says that she enjoys helping her patients find just the right hearing solution for their needs and lifestyle without spending any more money than necessary, which I know I can be happy about that one. Lord knows we need to keep more money in our pockets. When she's not poking in ears, she likes to play in her local community band and help her husband grow their in-home based 3D printing business. She's the mother of a Dean's List college student and an academic lettered high school student. So she's got some brains around that house, around that breakfast table. So Bruce was raised and has spent most of his life in Kansas City. He retired from the pharmaceutical sales industry in 2021. He started at Hearing Health Associates in August of 2021 in a marketing capacity, giving educational hearing talks to senior resident centers, senior health centers, churches, and really anyone who would listen to the importance of hearing and having their hearing examined on a regular basis. That's how I met Bruce. We met at a community event. And so I thought, heck, we need to bring him over so he can share this knowledge with the masses. Bruce and his wife moved to Lee Summit a little less than a year ago from Kansas City. He's the father of 4 and a grandfather of 6.
Soon to be
So,
7.
oh, yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I will turn it over to you guys now.
Thank you very much for having us back, Jody. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it. And by the way, I can attest that Jody is very good with the needle. She, gave me a blood test at a health fair, although the needle I thought was a spear, but she convinced me it was just a needle, and we got the blood out, and that was the main thing.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so, so
Thank you
again,
for those
thanks.
accolades, Bruce. I appreciate
Yeah. She's gentle, believe me. In any case, thanks for having us back, Jody. We really appreciate the opportunity to kind of drill down on tinnitus or tinnitus because the simple fact is that more people have tinnitus than they do your sensorineural hearing loss. It's like a little over 50 million versus 48 million. So it's even more of a problem, or a bigger problem, if you will, than garden variety hearing loss. So just a couple of quick things about us at Hearing Health Associates. The thing that I always emphasize everywhere I go is that please get your hearing examined. Please get a hearing test done. This is going to be a mature audience, I'm sure, and I don't have to tell anybody out there that body parts are wearing out. They are for me. I assume they are for everybody else. And it always behooves people to get their hearing checked. And the reason for that is if you have an issue with your hearing, that it's been proven that your mood and your memory improve as you get your hearing corrected. And that's a nice quality of life issue. It really is. So who wouldn't want a better quality of life, right, when they get to be our age? One of the sad statistics around hearing loss is that on average, people wait about 7 years between the time that they actually realize that they've got a hearing situation and it needs to be addressed, and they actually get it addressed. And so, golly, that's some time that was lost that they could have been doing much better. So again, please get your hearing examined. I'm going to hit real quick on some things about Hearing Health Associates. We have several locations in the Kansas City area. I'm sure, Jody, you have that information. Gladstone, Liberty, Lee Summit, South Kansas City, and in Grandview, by the way. So we're all over the KC-Mo metro area. That's a good thing. We can see you very quickly. Many times you have to wait because other offices are doing noses and throats. We're just doing exclusively ears. So we can get you in a matter of days. and not usually weeks or months. That can fluctuate based on the schedules and locations and things, but we can see you quickly. Um, Also, please don't worry about what your benefits are. What are these things going to cost me? I can assure you with almost 100% accuracy, almost, I never say never or always when it comes to insurance companies because there's always an exception, but I can always pretty well assure you that your hearing exam is going to be a covered benefit. That's a good thing. You'll know where you're at. If you haven't had your ears checked in years, at least we'll get a baseline. That's very important, and we can detect some things, including the tinnitus. That's a good thing. Also, what are hearing aids going to cost? I get that a lot. And it's frankly like asking, how much does a car cost? Because there's different bells, whistles, different things, different hearing aids that your insurance companies will allow you to have based on based on who you're with. Um, we will do all that research for you. You won't have to call up your insurance company and find out what my benefits are because we will know. Um, we have an extended trial period anywhere from 30 to 45 days. Again, this kind of is dependent upon who your insurance company is and what they allow. And we get it that it's not like driving a car and just taking it around the block, that you need to kind of see it and, you have your hearing aids checked in different scenarios, one-on-one conversations in a crowded room, that type of thing. And they can always be adjusted. That's the good news. So we're going to give you an extended trial period. Two things that I'm going to turn it over to the Dr. Jennifer here is number one is that, and I think this is important when we talk about the relationship between you who wants to have your hearing checked and the audiologist, and that is our audiologists are not incentivized to sell you anything. Okay. That's very important because that can really change that whole dynamic between the audiologist and the patient. We feel it's easier on you, and certainly it's easier on our audiologists that way. We just think it makes a lot of sense. Lastly, before I turn it over here, I want to mention something I'm sure you all probably, if you're not aware of, you will be soon. A lot of changes in Medicare coverages right now, some of the plans. I think just about all the plans, as a matter of fact. Um, Take a look at your coverage. If it hasn't changed, and if it does change after the first of the year, you might take a look at your coverage and decide, hey, is it better for me to get tested now, or will it be better to get tested after the first of the year? Could be either one of those. It all depends upon what you got and what's going to happen. So please keep us in mind. Again, please get your hearing examined. If not by us, by somebody. We certainly hope it's Hearing Health Associates. So enough of me. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Jennifer Hetzel, who has forgotten more about tinnitus than I'll ever know. So I'm going to let her take this over. So,
All right. Okay. So, hi, I'm Jennifer Hetzel, and I've already heard it pronounced both ways since we started. It's tinnitus or tinnitus. Either one is correct, and I've heard it both ways already. So I tend to say tinnitus. You can say tinnitus. They're both correct. Tinnitus is any sound that you hear that's not out here. So it could be a ringing, it could be a buzzing, it could be a hissing. I've had people tell me they hear locusts, they hear crickets, they hear cicadas. I had one lady a while back that heard a chorus, and every once in a while she recognized the tune. Tinnitus does not cause hearing loss. Hearing loss does not cause tinnitus. We do tend to see the two together, but there's also plenty of hearing loss that does not have tinnitus. And I've had several cases where people have the tinnitus, but they don't have any hearing loss. Things that can cause tinnitus are exposure to loud noise. Depending on how loud the noise, it can be just one exposure, or it could be over a long period of time. I believe tinnitus is the #1 complaint among veterans, and that's the noise exposure. There are many, many, many medications that can cause tinnitus. Sometimes that's a known effect, and there's not a choice. That is the medication that's going to fix the issue. But there are combinations of medication that can cause tinnitus. Um, Having your ears plugged up with earwax or fluid in the middle ear, anything that plugs up your ears can also cause you to hear buzzing, sometimes pulsing, or ringing in your ears. So all the way back in 1953, they did a study where they took a bunch of normal hearing volunteers, put them in a soundproof room. So for a hearing test, we have a sound treated room. In this case, they put them in a soundproof room. 94% of those volunteers, after a few minutes, reported hearing a sound. So I believe that most of us have some ringing, buzzing, some sound going on. For most of us, we don't notice it. The air circulation, well, we don't have fluorescent lights in here anymore, but fluorescent lights, air circulation, computer fans, all the noises of the world just cover that up for us. For about 10% of the population, that sound is there all the time. Or they may be able to tune it out, but it comes and goes and it's noticeable. Which brings me to what can make it worse. Um, Long time ago in ENT I used to tell everybody, try reducing sodium, try reducing caffeine. And I thought, you know what, that is something that's not going to hurt anybody. And we could probably all do with a little less sodium, a little less caffeine. So I've always suggested that. Try it, see if it makes a difference. Now, it's not just the salt you put on your food, but the sodium that is in food. So a lot of prepared, like frozen meals and things like that. If you look at the label, there's a lot of sodium in there, or restaurant food, or reduce the caffeine and see if it makes a difference for you. Stress can make the ringing or the buzzing or whatever sound you hear worse. Also, alcohol can make it worse. Spending time around loud noise can make it worse. Just getting focused on it, like if it's there and you just kind of get hyper focused on listening to that sound, it's not likely to fade away while you're paying attention to it. We're going to touch on that a little later when we get to management strategies. And also sleep deprivation, which to me just increases the stress level. So it just all kind of goes together. Again, stress is hard to control, but I have had patients report to me that their sound was more noticeable when they were more stressed. And I did have a patient whose very favorite restaurant was a Mexican restaurant over in the Liberty area. And every time he ate there, his ears would ring the whole next day. It was a choice he made sometimes to just, he loved that food and he just knew his ears would ring for a day. So if you have that ringing, that buzzing, hissing, locust, crickets, cicadas, what can you do? Again, that study, 94% of us have some kind of sound going on in there that most of us just don't notice most of the time. So unfortunately, the short answer is we don't know how to get rid of it. There are some medications that when you stop taking that medication, the sound will fade. So a lot of what we have is management strategies. But first of all, hearing test. We want to get this measured, see if there's any hearing loss in there. Hearing test is also going to show some different patterns, or if there may be something else medical going on causing that ringing. And then, of course, the medical evaluation of the ringing or the buzzing, or I'm going to say ringing, but I mean ringing, buzzing, any of those other sounds. Now, unfortunately, that medical evaluation, a lot of times the physicians will say, there's nothing we can do, just get used to it. There is not a medication that's going to make it better. There's not a surgery that's going to make it better. But there are management strategies to help you with that sound. The other thing you can do is review your medications, see if they are a medication that can cause ringing, And then that is a discussion with your physician to see if there's a different dosage, a different medication, a different combination you can try that might get rid of that ringing or buzzing in your ears. If there is hearing loss along with your tinnitus, hearing aids go a long way for a lot of people in helping to manage that sound. And to me, that goes again back to that 94% of us have that sound. Most of us don't notice it. My theory is that's because the noises of the world cover it up for us. If you've got some hearing loss, the outside sounds don't have as much opportunity to cover up the inside sound, wherever that sound is coming from. And so then by putting hearing aids on, we bring in all those outside sounds again and have a better chance of covering it up. Most hearing aids on the market now also have a technology in them that has a little noise generator. It might be like a static sound, a white noise. We can shape it to sound like ocean waves. There's a couple of brands that use, the technical term is fractal tones. It sounds like distant wind chimes. This is the point where every person with tinnitus has ever looked at me and said, I hate wind chimes. I personally like them.
Sounds soothing.
But then they do set them so that it is a random pattern. So you don't go, oh gosh, this is the third time if you listen to the radio long enough, you hear the same songs in the same order. It's meant to be random. And it does create some relief. Now, some people have said, well, then you're just covering up one sound with another sound. The difference being that it is sound that you have chosen to put there, that you have some control over, that you can turn on and off. And for some people, that helps, just knowing that they've got control over that sound. Relaxation strategies. Sometimes just having this all checked out and knowing there's nothing bad in there, it just is. Some people are able then to just let it be, ignore it, tune it out. One of the biggest strategies is then to never be in a perfectly quiet room. And again, this is when people usually say, but I like the quiet. You don't have to have a ton of noise. It could be low music. It could be the TV on low. For some people, just a ceiling fan, a box fan, generates just enough noise. Sometimes what sounds really loud in here, it only takes a little bit of noise out here to cover it up. The example that I was given when I took my course on tinnitus was, if you think about birthday candles, what do we do when we light birthday candles? We turn off all the lights in the room. Yeah. When we turn off those lights and all that's on is the birthday candles, they are bright. It seems like they're lighting up the whole room. True. But if you turn on the lights in the room, you almost wouldn't notice them. Mm-hmm. So that's don't true. Let that tinnitus be the only sound in the room. Have something else going. It doesn't take a lot. And then anything you can do to distract yourself from that sound. Again, the music, the radio. This is about the time I mentioned those old tapes from the 90s where we had the whale song and the forest sounds and the babbling brooks. It's whatever you find that is less annoying to you than your sound to have playing in the room. That's what you're going to use. The other example, the distraction, I believe what he said to us in that class was change your activity. If you have the ability to just get up and change what you're doing, that's what you do. And again, the example he gave, he became an expert on tinnitus and was teaching the course because he has tinnitus. So he would travel around the country and give these little two-day courses on tinnitus, but he was also a runner. And so he'd get to his hotel and he'd get out a map and he'd figure out his route that he was going to run so he could get his distance in each day. And he said one day he took off on his run and his tinnitus flared up. He turned left at the next corner. Now he had to figure out how to get his distance in, how to get his run in, find his way back to the hotel. Completely forgot about that sound that had flared up in his head. So if you have the ability, if that sound tends to like flare up sometimes, just stop what you're doing, go find something else to do. It doesn't have to be running and turning left at the next corner. It can be anything. Just it grabs your attention off of that sound. And by the time you figure out what you're going to do, what you need in order to do it, get yourself all set up doing that activity, hopefully you've yanked your attention off of that sound. So you get the hearing test, you get the medical evaluation. There's not much they can do about it. You've got all these strategies going. How do you know when to have it checked again? If it starts pulsing, if you start hearing it like a heartbeat or it's pulsing in your ear, you want to have that checked again. If for some reason the ringing is only on one side or it's very different from one side to the other, it's time to have it checked again. If there's any dizziness with it, that can be a sign of something else going on. Time to have it checked. And I always say if it changes, if it's been going along and it's been for months or years at the same sound and you figured out how to deal with it and then it changes, something's different. It's time to have it checked. And then I always tell my patients just check in periodically, even if everything seems the same. Even if the hearing was normal and everything seems the same, every 2 to 3 years, just have it checked again. Just make sure that it's not slowly changing.
Mhm.
That's the bottom of my page of notes. When I asked ChatGPT what people like to ask about tinnitus, that's all the questions it showed me. So if I missed one, I can't see if anybody's typing in any questions. So let me know if there have been any questions.
The chat and the Q&A is open. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to read them for Dr. Jennifer to answer.
And otherwise, I'm going to turn it back over to Bruce.
Oh, thanks. Oh, gosh. It is a problem. I mean, as I mentioned at the outset here, more people have tinnitus than they do hearing loss, actually. And, it's a thing. So we want to try to address it. We can, it's another issue where your quality of life can really be enhanced if we get it taken care of, or if you get it taken care of. And that will be a good thing for sure, for sure.
Okay. Well, I think with some great information. And I know, hope people will benefit from it. And if they do have the symptoms, they can get it checked out. Having Meniere's and tinnitus, any pointers?
Oh, yeah. Meniere's is extra pressure in that inner ear there. And so, yeah, you get the dizziness, you get the fluctuating hearing loss. And I believe for some people that tinnitus changes right before the dizziness hits and drops you to the floor. So pay attention to that. Other than that, and staying on top of it medically, it's all the same strategies. And especially the sodium. I'm pretty sure with Meniere's, sodium is one of the things you really want to watch because that can contribute to that fluid buildup that creates the whole situation.
That makes sense.
Good. Anything else? It gets back down to, whether you have tinnitus or not, or think you might, or sometimes have it. It's always good to get that hearing examined. And again, it should be a covered benefit that you wouldn't have to, pay out of your pocket and that type of thing. So it's always good to get checked.
Yes, exactly. And this offering has been recorded and we'll post it to the YouTube channel, but I'll also send out an email to everyone who registered. And if it's okay, I will share your guys' contact information and your the locations of your clinics too, if that would be.
That'd be great, Jody.
Absolutely.
Right, sure.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll do that. So you guys can expect to get that either tomorrow or Friday.
Super.
And if anybody wants some more information, Bruce and Dr. Jennifer did another offering for us back in April 10th of 2025 on hearing loss. So that would be a great thing to go back into our YouTube channel and take a listen to.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we get into more of the causes, the disease states that go with hearing loss, and unfortunately or unfortunately, it's kind of very common in some of us that are seasoned citizens. I mean, we start having blood flow issues and things like that. And I've always said we can't make your ears like they were when you were 20 years old, but we can certainly improve on your current situation if you need it. It's always good to stay on top of it.
All right, agreed.
So.
Okay, good information. Now, how often is it recommended to get hearing checked?
If everything seems to be going just fine, I usually recommend about every 2 years or so.
Okay,
Uh,
very good.
but I always say if anything changes, come back
Mhm.
sooner.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if
Yeah.
we're in there getting our hearing checked, you'll say, okay, I'll see you, Jody, in 2 years,
You got it.
Yeah.
unless something changes.
Right.
Right. That'd be ideal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very insidious, and it's a lot like losing your vision. And I tell the story. In fact, I think I might have on the last video we did that um, I got LASIK's vision done or mono vision done in, let's see, 2009. The last time I was at the optometrist was 2011. And then I retired from active work in 2021. So I went literally 10 years without even going to the eye doctor, without even check up anything. And of course, I'm like out of sight, out of mind. I can see just fine. Well, soon as I retired in 2021, I started noticing a little bit of blurriness in one of my eyes. And I went back to the eye doctor, and sure enough, I'm developing cataracts. I was diagnosed with glaucoma, and my vision had certainly slipped. And I put on my distance glasses that I now use for driving and seeing sporting events, that type of thing. And I couldn't believe it. It was like being 14, 15 years old again and going, wow, there's leaves on the trees. That's how much my that's how much my eyes had slipped in 10 years. And the glasses made all the difference in the world. And again, that's a quality of life thing. It really is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know I don't know if it helps my judgment when I drive, but I can certainly see things a lot better.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay. Well, again, thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with us over the lunch hour. It was nice.
Thank you,
And
Jody.
we thank you for all the wonderful information that you've shared.
Sure, we're glad to do it.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too.